the best piece of advice that I can give any company looking to use AI, have a list of what your priorities are. Know what you want it to do. Look through your processes and make sure you know this is a step in process improvement. So if the process is broken without AI, it's still going to be broken with it. Right. So really, I think focusing on what truly matters and what you're looking to gain will help make any AI implementation smoother.
Welcome to the Hire Truckers Podcast. I'm your host, Aaron Craddock, and super excited today to have Christy Choice on with 10th Street. Welcome to the show, Christy.
My goodness. Hey, Aaron, thanks so much for having me. Glad to be here.
So we're going to dive straight into just straight into it. So we're talking about AI today. So will AI replace recruiters or make the best recruiters even more valuable?
Well, I think it's kind of early to tell, but my guess is that it's going to make the best recruiters more valuable. And the reason I think that is because a lot of the responsible AI that I'm seeing, especially like the 10th Street is promoting, keeps the human in the loop, right? I think it's too early to just say, hey, do all the things, right? It's like there are some stop gaps in between. Do up until this point, keep me in the loop. And then the human, that recruiter, is clicking the next button or doing the next thing, right? But it's something that is, it's a partnership rather than just saying, hey, AI, just do the whole thing. So I think it's going to make the best recruiters better because it's going to give them more data to work with more efficiently and help them to structure their day in a way that facilitates connections, which is what a recruiter probably really, really wants.
And so do you think it'll eliminate like some of these recruiter jobs just as we get more efficient using the technology, or is that just, not something we should worry about?
Well, I have worked with carriers that are small, medium, large, extra large, and jumbo. And so I think there are some carriers out there who are like, you know what? We see this as a cost saving, method, right? That they can reduce headcount. But I don't think that every carrier looks at it that way. So I think that's going to be dependent on, that company and their experience with AI. I would sure hope that it does not eliminate recruiter jobs, though, because I think there's plenty to do, at companies, and there are lots of different activities that are like around, driver hiring, and so really that it's too soon to tell, but I mean, it could based on lots of different factors, but I don't think it really will.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I'm in the same camp. Like I do see where it saves time and is efficient, like in a lot of different use cases. However, I just see it creating more opportunity and more jobs. It's like even with my business, like I'm not cutting people, I'm adding more people, and then we're just providing a different level of service. And that's kind of what I've seen
Yes.
with the way 10th Street has deployed it, is just like we're going to provide a higher level of service and more options.
Yep, exactly. But I do know there are some folks who are looking at every line item, every vendor they have, and they are just really trying to weather the economic conditions currently. And so, I mean, it's hard to say that it won't ever eliminate recruiter jobs. But I think that's not the goal, right? And I think that's kind of what we agree on here. That
Mhm.
we will probably see a little bit of it, but I don't think that's going to be like the next emerging trend. Get rid of recruiters? Nah, I don't think so.
Mhm. And I think you probably have a more realistic take. I think I'm like almost like the eternal optimist, over optimist, like extreme. Like it's not going to eliminate anything. It's just going to create all this abundance. But it's probably
Hmm.
probably nuanced. There probably are some
Yeah.
cases like you were saying in certain fleets. Look, we have to cut money to stay alive and
Hmm.
stay in the fight and move freight. And so it's a way we can do that. So that's fair. Is AI, before we dive into like your AI offerings, because I want to hear more about that, just because I wasn't at 10th Street User Conference this year and heard
Hmm.
a lot of buzz about it. I wanted to go into just like, is AI being overhyped right now?
I think AI is being properly hyped right now, Aaron. And the reason why I will say that is because trucking historically has been slow to adopt certain types of technologies, right? Usually it's like hey, here's the date. You're going to do this on this date. And it's like there's always those stragglers. AI has been around for a while. And I travel to so many conferences and industry events, and I'm like, okay, I feel like I've been hearing about it forever, but now folks are leaning in a very different way. So I think the amount of hype the AI is getting is super appropriate, because I think people have been just kind of casually waiting on the sidelines to see where it goes and what it can do. But now they're like, okay, I'm actually listening. I feel like enough people have started to adopt it, that we have good sets of data, we have good direction. So now I'm ready, right? I think they're ready now.
Mhm. Yeah, so I remember a conversation, it was a year and a half ago, and our lead developer, I was doing a performance review, just a quarterly performance review, and he's like, "Aaron, if I don't produce 10 times the output in the next year, you should fire me." And I was like, "What in the world?" And yeah, and so I was like, so I mean, I was like, "I've never had that happen." I was just kinda like, "I've never had somebody say that." I really
Yeah.
um, respect this guy. Like he's worked for me for a number of years in different roles, and it and so anyway, it made me really wake up because I just similar to you, I've heard about AI for 16 years.
Hmm.
I mean a long amount of time, and even been involved in businesses that are like, hey, we're AI this, AI that, and I'm like, no, it's just like a spreadsheet. It's not actually any automation, and
Yeah.
And but now it's real, and so we've had to just, completely pivot and be like, "How are we AI native? How do we just replicate all of our processes with AI?" And, but I think if he hadn't said that strongly,
Hmm.
then I wouldn't have put the needed priority on it in the business because it
Mm,
kinda just shakes
yeah.
everything up. We've had to invest in way more technology. Again, it's not less. We've had to invest more in people and
Yes.
time and tech. Definitely not less.
Yeah.
And but yeah, it just and so I would lean. I think you said it's even hyped. I would
Hmm.
kind of lean under hyped right now, which is kind of funny for me. Like,
Ooh, okay.
but yeah, I think it's going to disrupt more than we think, just because it it's moving so fast and just the exponential change.
Hmm.
Now we don't know. I don't know. I might flip
Yeah.
on that 2 months from now. Um, but it's been
Yeah.
amazing. I mean, my team sent me something yesterday where they had automated a certain process that I'd just thrown out in a meeting, and I was just blown away. I'm like, that would have taken 3 hours, and like it does it with agents running in 10 minutes. Like it's just
Hmm.
wild. It's just the right hype. I like
Yeah,
it.
I think so. Yeah. Well, and then one of the reasons why I say that, a few years ago, I was participating in a panel on AI. And my team at 10th Street prepared me with about 17 pages of notes. The little stack was so thick that I counted. So I knew it was 17 pages. And I mean, it was about LLMs and like machine learning and like all of this, it was way more technical than I think I needed. And during that conversation with a room full of, let's say, a couple hundred folks, the only message that I felt they needed, based on the questions and the content and everything else that was being said, was, hey, give it a try. Give it a try. Like really, AI is the future. Give it a try, right? Because they didn't care about an LLM or terms and conditions, right? It was really like opening their minds to just even being, again, open to the concept of what AI could do for their businesses. So it was really funny, because I reflect on that often, and then now some of the conversations that I have are like, oh, we've automated this process, and we're using AI in these really creative ways. And I'm like, oh, okay, so they're listening, and kind of trying to, dip a toe. Some folks have jumped, you know, full into it. And it's really interesting to see.
Hmm. Yeah, I really like that. Just give it a try. Is that still your message right now? Like if I'm thinking, so our audience is primarily, large fleets, mega fleets, 500 plus truck fleets, like executives,
Hmm.
safety directors, recruiting directors. C-level. So like thinking of that audience, which is usually who you're talking to,
For
like,
sure.
is that still the same message with AI right now that you want them to hear today is just keep trying? Or is it a little different?
Yes. Well, it's slightly different. So I rescind that yes. That was a very quick yes, because I think they are trying, right? Um, but I think that there's this methodology of crawl, walk, run, where we have to, go slow now to go faster later. But I like the idea of crawl, walk, run, right? And they may be at, let's say, the walking stage where they've automated several processes. They're using AI. AI and automation are different. I know we kind of use them interchangeably. Um, and they may be at that run stage, but there also should, after every stage, be the verify portion, right? You have to trust it, but you also have to verify it. And that takes intentionality that I don't think fleets always make space for because things are busy. And they see the efficiencies that are gained and they say, okay, we're doing it. And they just go, full speed ahead. But it has to be managed in a really responsible way, which is what I'm seeing for the most part. But yeah, crawl, walk, run, verify.
Okay,
And the
yeah, I was
cycle
gonna have you repeat
continues.
that.
Yeah.
Crawl,
Yep.
walk, run, verify. So it's not crawl, walk, verify, clean up, then run. You're still saying all in, but just don't forget to loop back around.
Yeah. And I think every organization is a little bit different, right? And so if you find that their team is a little slower to adopt, maybe they crawl, verify, walk, verify, run, verify, right? And it maybe they have to put more checkpoints into their processes because their folks may be slower to adopting new technology, or historically they know that their business has been more conservative when it comes to adopting new technologies. Or what I see a lot of times, folks have had a bad experience that just really burns them, and they're like, we never want to live through that again. And so they're hesitant because of those bad experiences. So the verify needs to be in there somewhere. I just like to throw it in at the end.
Mhm. One of the things I've heard is like a stat that 90% of AI projects fail. I don't remember the exact study, but I've heard that a lot of like AI implementations fail. Is that what you're seeing in trucking? Like, is it that large or a lot more succeeding kind of with what you're
Mm.
seeing?
Well, 90% is staggering. Oh my goodness, I've never heard that. I think AI in trucking right now is more successful than that. There isn't a 90% failure rate. But I think that from the AI technologies that I've seen, uh, it's I think a little more guarded, right? Because also as providers, we know the industry that we're serving, or we should have a really good idea and understanding of the folks that we're serving. And so I think that there's already that hesitancy. So we've built safeguards to make sure that as they take those steps forward, that they're protected, and sometimes even protected against themselves. There have been lots of companies out here who, promise to do all of these different things with AI, but the best piece of advice that I can give any company looking to use AI, have a list of what your priorities are. Know what you want it to do, right? You have to do those internal observations first and look through your processes and make sure you know this is a step in process improvement. So if the process is broken without AI, it's still going to be broken with it. Right. So really, I think focusing on what truly matters and what you're looking to gain will help make any AI implementation smoother.
Yeah. I know for some fleets that can feel overwhelming. Like you need to know what to improve and they're like, I don't even know where to start. So like what advice do you give to fleets like as far as just the category of problem to look at that has the highest likelihood, like once they get it cleaned up to your point, of then improving upon it?
Mhm. Yeah, and I think that's a little tricky because I work with some pretty large fleets as well who have resources, and they can reallocate work in a way that supports those initiatives. And so there are folks who strategically lead the efforts, and whereas like lots of other carriers don't have that same flexibility, and so they have a committee or folks who are doing their regular job, which they're already probably overwhelmed with, and trying to, put on a different thinking cap. Okay, take my regular job off, put another thinking cap on, and then now I'm trying to be objective and like look for the holes in the processes. And not everyone's brains are wired that way, right? So I think that that's why there has been a struggle because you really have to dedicate the resources to it to ask questions. And one of the best things that I've heard, I was at a conference and someone's talked about the five whys. If you're not asking why at least five times, then you're probably not going deep enough when you're trying to problem solve. And you're talking about like a light bulb moment there. And I was like, yeah, because we just accept so much for at face value instead of saying, oh, why is that the problem that we're solving? Because we need more leads. Okay, and why? Because and we don't poke the bear. We need to, right? Not to like diminish anyone's contribution or say, but I think what it's doing is it's helping you get to the root cause of what's really going on instead of saying just everybody does it. No, that's not everybody's model, right? And so I think just asking those questions. And I've even had folks say, "Oh, I have a designated why asker in meetings," right? Because they take it that seriously to make sure that they're truly trying to peel back the layers of what may be going on with their processes.
I'm gonna double click on that. So, because that's something like of all the things we've
I
heard
like
so
that.
far on
Double
this
click it.
episode, yeah, the I'm like, man, that's an area I could improve in. Like just
Hmm.
asking why 5 times, because I think sometimes
Hmm.
I may do it 2 times,
Hmm.
but then it's kind of a negative symptom of being in an industry 15 years. Like I think I know more than I know, and it
Yes.
bites me more than early in my career because I make assumptions. And so, how if you're giving advice to me and then an extension our audience, like how do you actually operationalize that? Not just hear that in this episode, ask 5 whys, and then file it away and do nothing with it, but how do we how do we actually do that? Like, how do you operationalize it?
Yeah. I think it works best for carriers who have already developed a curious culture, right? They facilitated environments of learning and asking questions and facilitating dialogue around problems. And so it's really easy because you're just adding an additional layer on top of that. But if everyone always comes to every meeting assuming that they know everything or that they understand every single problem, or being unwilling to be vulnerable about, hey, raising my hand when I don't understand something, it's a little bit more difficult to implement the five whys. And that's again because we come in with these preconceived notions, or like, I've already solved it. I'm already in another meeting in my head. So, like, we can move on now. Right. But I think the true beauty of asking more questions is not to be, a roadblock, but it's really to say, hey, we've been there, we've done that. We want to make every transition smoother. We want to make it more efficient. We want this technology to be as effective as it can be, right? Technology alone does not solve a problem. The people partnering with technology is what really moves the needle forward. And that's what I'll always say. We love technology. Every company has a tech stack now. It's not something that, yeah, we don't always see. We see it now. We know it. People understand technology. And so, again, I think being willing to ask those questions, but first looking at the organization and say, can we handle this? And a lot of times it's yes, right? Really just explaining, hey, we're going to start doing this in this type of meeting that we have monthly, right? Start slow and build from there. But then you'll see that sometimes it'll go a little slower at first. Because then you'll have to go and do the research or, delegate some tasks out and then come back to the decision making table or the problem solving, meeting. And then you're able to move forward from there. But I think it helps everyone to see whether they're really prepared or not, because we make a lot of assumptions every day. But we also have to make a lot of decisions in such a fast paced environment like trucking.
Mhm. Yeah, I'm still wrestling in my head with how do I deploy this, like, in the season we're in of growth,
Yeah.
and,
Mhm.
um, because it's like, yeah, just the nuance, which I know everybody's probably struggling with as they're thinking
Mhm.
through it, is in a time where everything's moving faster, Like maybe we have 40 trucks on the fence, or in my case, I need to add 5 new people. Like
Yes.
what, how do I slow down and be willing to do another meeting when I don't know how I'm gonna fit that meeting physically in my calendar?
Yes. Yeah.
Um, and so I guess
Mhm.
progress, not perfection. Maybe I'll move from 2 to 3. Um, and,
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Or maybe it's even quarterly, right? Whatever you can fit in to just start the wheels turning and get the gears going. Because you're right, it is progression over perfection all day long, right? I think everybody's in the same boat trying to figure out how best to do things. And we hear a lot of good strategies, right? But feel free to take it, tweak it, and then see, hey, maybe you just do three whys.
I might have to
Because
have
you
you
can't.
come in I might have to have you come into our annual leadership meeting and, like, lead a
Mhm.
little 5 whys session with our team
Yes.
and be like,
Oh my
"Here,"
goodness.
like, because thinking, like, so we have, like, a 3-year vision, 5-year vision of where we're
Mhm.
going, and so I'm just thinking the power of being like, "Okay, we know we're going here," that's maybe 10 orders of magnitude higher than where we are now,
Yeah.
10x, and
Mhm.
so I can just think the power of being like, well, why do we need it? Like even something as simple as doing this
Yeah.
podcast, like is one of our
Mhm.
strategies. And we just moved to weekly. Like why? Is that really gonna have a benefit? Like that's a huge
Yeah.
investment of our team's time and energy. And and then asking why 5 more times. And then I think what that would do is develop just way more buy-in with the team too. So not just so that's what I see in the 5 whys is you have way more buy-in because people have talked it out
Mhm.
in on top of the improved execution.
For sure.
Um,
I agree.
s
Yep, I agree.
so that's multiplicative. That's cool.
Mhm.
So
Yeah,
I
well,
wanna
it
make
is,
sh
it is.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, and so I know we kind of stuck on the five whys a little long here, but I think the other part of it is, asking those questions, but it's going to help everyone at the right stage walk away with the correct marching orders because it's already been um, discussed and probably over discussed for some folks because different personality types take data and information in different ways. But then, as an individual, I know that when something is a little more fleshed out, that it helps me to know how, as an individual contributor, I can help move it along. Right. And so I think that that's one of the outcomes that I'm seeing from folks who implement, just asking more questions and trying to become a more curious organization.
Do you have a time that you've done that where that just sticks out in your head where it uncovered something you didn't expect?
Yes. Yes. And so I do a lot of travel for 10th Street. I'm at a lot of industry conferences and events. But in addition to that, I'm also traveling to, meet carriers, do training, work with their teams, develop their leadership, all those types of things. Right. So I have a very busy schedule. It's a lot to manage. And so with our internal team, we meet on an ongoing basis to evaluate conferences and events. And some of them are planned out. By the time you attend this year, we have the dates for next year. And others, not so much, but we still want to go. We still want to support. But we got a new chief revenue officer recently. And so we started, he would ask questions because he's trying to learn how we make decisions. And so, whereas it's like, oh, we go because we go every year, it's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Now I have to say, why do we go? What is the ROI? Is this helpful? What opportunities are there? And with such a busy schedule and so much to support within the entire industry, is this still a valuable way to invest our time? And so we started asking those questions really because we were being asked about, hey, well, why do we do this? And I'm like, I don't know. And then I'm like, I do
Because
know.
we do.
Exactly. And in a lot of cases, that's not good enough anymore. So, anyway, that's just one example of the ways that I've seen those five whys used.
Did it lead to an adjustment? I'm curious.
It did. It did. Because there were some that were like, hey, we're not going to go there. And then there's other things that's like, hey, if it's an overlap and we have to prioritize based on the whys and the data to support the whys, we're not going, or yes, we are choosing to go. right? And so I think that it's definitely helped us make some decisions that were really difficult because relationships are so valuable, but also time is really valuable as well.
Mhm. Yeah, that's good. The so the next thing I want to make sure, because I know we're a little short on time. So I wanted to make sure that we chatted about just, and again, this is my curiosity. So I heard a lot of buzz of the 10th Street AI products coming out of user conference. And I wasn't in those sessions this year. And I know some of our audience
Mhm.
weren't in there too. And so what did I miss?
Uh, oh my goodness. So one of the tools that we revealed this year is called 10 Street Assistant, and it is an AI enabled workflow management tool. And that's a whole mouthful, but essentially it's a way for the carriers who use 10 Street to really detail what their workflow is, so that AI can assist them with recommended actions, so that the human, the recruiter, is always in the loop, but they already know, hey, when this application comes in, we want this AI autoresponder to send it out. But do we want the messaging to be consistent, or do we want it to have a little personality or flair? Right. Some of the ways that AI is embedded into the workflow management tool is meant to make things more streamlined and efficient. Keep the human in the loop, but also maintain personalization. I've seen a million workflows, Aaron, like a million. And sometimes I'm like, wait, why would you ever do that before this? But they have a reason for it. And so it's customizable in a way that can fit any workflow. And so it's really, really cool. And we have some, defaults set. But then also, of course, there's the customization and personalization as well. So we're super duper proud of it. And there was a lot of bugs in a lot of the sessions because it's not just like the 10th Street Assistant. We broke it up into 10th Street Assistant for recruiting, 10th Street Assistant for processing, and 10th Street Assistant for safety.
It's cool. So like three different agents. Do they have names
Yes.
or is it just the
No.
assistant?
Yep, it's just the assistant overall. We didn't want to overcomplicate it even more by giving them, sub names. And there's some tools that are just, again, because of the differences in the uniqueness of the carriers in the industry, we wanted to create a space where at least they had a starting point. So they could use that starting point to start using the tool and adopting it pretty quickly.
So what's one win like you've kind of seen since the user conference or at the user conference, like a use case where a fleet implemented that?
Oh my goodness. One of the really great use cases that we've seen so far, well, if I just talk about from the recruiting perspective, the 10 Street Assistant is one homepage, right? And so as a recruiter, I can go in there to manage, any new applicant that's assigned to me. And so I can look at it and I can see, oh, autoresponder has already sent. It was an AI message. It looked at the information that was available. It told them, hey, your assigned recruiter is this person. They're going to respond to you soon. Here's some more information about our company. Stay tuned for more. And it kind of tees them up for that, recruiter to have a good conversation with them and then suggest recommended next actions based on, the response from the driver. So anyway, there's some really cool things that we've seen so far. And people are already having an immediate impact in their workflow because it takes some of that pressure off the recruiter to have to immediately go in and respond because the AI autoresponder is doing a really great job of that.
That's awesome. Yeah, so it's kind of marrying marketing automation, like you said, with AI.
Hmm.
It's just kind of an
Yep.
intermingled, connected thing. Um,
Yes, but even for
that's pretty
background report ordering, right? So if your next logical step after the person has been responded to and the recruiter has reviewed that application would be to run a SIDlist report or order a PSP or order the MVR. Those recommended actions are built in. And it's looking at things like, is their CDL valid? Um, do they have a medical card? Like whatever your pre-qualifications are, you can set it up to say, hey, if this equals this, then recommend this next action so that your whole team is consistent as well.
Yeah. And I could just see the power in just onboarding new recruiters, just just so much that like legacy recruiters may have in their head that they have to know. Just I could even see just power in that, like getting a new recruiter up to speed type thing because they have just an assistant that can help with all that. That's cool.
Yeah, that is cool. But you're right. A lot of recruiters, they know their job like the back of their hand because they've been doing it, especially if they're a seasoned recruiter and have been doing it for a while. They just know what to do. But we want to help the industry grow and folks be able to, hire for those recruiter roles as well. And so it does make it easier for them to, adopt to a workflow because it's already been proven and the whole team is using it to get to, those hires.
Mhm. Well, I don't know where the time went. I had like 3 times as many things I wanted to ask. But I really appreciate your time on today, Christy. So Christy is an industry influencer. Like if you don't already know who she is, you'll see her at most shows around the country. Maybe slightly fewer now based on her feedback, but most shows. And then a leading consultant at 10 Street. I think you've been there 8 years. Is that right?
Yes. Yep.
And then also co-host of the Carrier Code podcast. So where should people
Yes.
follow you, Christy? Kind of as we're wrapping up today.
Well, thank you for having me. This is wonderful. Folks can follow me on LinkedIn. I'm always posting about travels and industry conferences and events. And I lead lots of webinars. So, just go to the 10th Street website and go to events, and you'll definitely see, all of the learning opportunities that we have there. But yeah, find me on LinkedIn. I would love to follow you back and connect with you.
Awesome. Thank you for your time today, Christy.
Thank you so much, Aaron. This is fun. Let's do it again.
It was fun. Yeah, we'll definitely make it happen again. And I wasn't
Wonderful.
joking about bringing you in
Yeah.
on to one of our meetings.
Oh, I would love it. I would love it. I think leadership, development, coaching, culture, those are all things that I don't think are talked about enough in trucking and trucking adjacent roles and companies. And so that is something that I am aiming to change.
Awesome. Thanks.